CEOs from Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and Lowe's sent a very blunt message to the president.
In today's uncertain economic climate, tariffs have become an unfathomable threat to retailers. The top CEOs of Walmart, Target, and Home Depot have repeatedly warned President Trump about empty shelves in stores. This is not a normal warning, but an urgent call. Even giants like Walmart and Target cannot maintain normal operations in this stressful and challenging economy. So, what is going on? Besides tariffs and inflation, what other factors are causing retail chain CEOs to panic enough to call on President Trump to intervene? Let's find out in today's video. Meeting of 3 American retail giants with the U.S. President. On April 21st, President Donald Trump held a key White House meeting with the CEOs of 3 of America's top retailers. Doug McMillon, CEO of Walmart, Brian Cornell, CEO of Target, and Ted Decker, CEO of Home Depot. The discussion focused on the potential impact of the tariff plan on the business models of these companies, especially since they rely heavily on importing goods from other countries. The 145% tariff that the president imposed on imports from China has had a major impact on supply chains and consumer prices. The CEOs warned that if this situation continues, store shelves could soon be empty, directly affecting American consumers. Speaking after the meeting, a Walmart spokesperson said Walmart CEO Doug McMillon had a face-to-face meeting with President Trump. He described the conversation as productive. The spokesperson also said the company appreciated the opportunity to share its views with Trump, but did not provide details of the conversation. A Home Depot spokesperson called the meeting informative and constructive. Target confirmed CEO Brian Cornell attended, saying the meeting was meant to discuss the business path forward. Lowe's has yet to respond. Why are retail chains gradually emptying their shelves? The challenges and crises of the giants. The fact is that top retailers like Walmart, Target, and Home Depot have been heavily dependent on imports from China for years. Most essential consumer goods, from household appliances to electronics to home decor items, are made in China. The imposition of a 145% tariff on these items not only increases the cost of the products, but also leaves retailers facing serious shortages of goods, as sourcing from other countries will take a long time and be costly. The burning issue today is the situation of retail supply gradually depleting, threatening the ability to supply goods to American consumers. This is becoming more serious as the tariff war between the U.S. and major countries continues to drag on, causing strong and unstable impacts on retailers. As tariffs increase, suppliers and retailers will have to raise prices or reduce imports, leading to shortages of goods, especially essential items that consumers need. This will not only hurt big box stores, but also small businesses where consumers will feel the shortages most. As Axios reports, these CEOs were quick to point out that while prices are stable for now, if the current tariffs remain in place, prices will skyrocket, directly impacting consumers. More worryingly, store shelves could be left bare as supplies from China cannot be replaced quickly and easily. These businesses are not only concerned about prices, but also fear that disruptions in the supply chain will lead to shortages of essential items, causing major problems for stores and directly affecting the wallets of American consumers. The CEOs of America's top retailers have sent a blunt and warning message to President Donald Trump. During Donald Trump's time in office, Walmart and Target contributed heavily to his campaign and benefited from the Trump administration's economic policies, such as corporate tax cuts and policies to promote domestic manufacturing. This support has helped companies like Walmart and Target maintain profits and thrive in a somewhat favorable business environment. However, faced with new challenges in the U.S. economy, including rising production costs, changes in consumer behavior, and especially tariff policies on imported goods from China, both Walmart and Target expressed concerns about the long-term impact of these changes. More than just a reminder, they delivered a sobering warning. If the United States still wants to maintain its supply of goods made in China, Now is a golden opportunity to buy before tariffs escalate and these opportunities disappear completely. The message reflects deep concern among major retailers about the negative impacts of the tariff war with China, as well as the difficulties they will face in maintaining a steady supply of goods for American consumers. The CEOs not only called for government intervention to protect the retail industry, but also emphasized that if no action is taken now, the U.S. consumer economy could face serious disruption in the future. The warning from the CEOs of America's largest retailers is more than just a warning. It's an urgent reminder of the unpredictable future of global supply chains. Companies like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and Lowe's, which have relied on goods made in China for decades, are now facing the reality that both the American economy and consumers will suffer. This meeting is not the first time President Trump has received advice from these CEOs, but this is a particularly important moment. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon has been outspoken in stating that the trade war is causing disruptions in the supply chain and that the situation will only get worse as the summer and holiday season approaches. This is made worse by the fact that Walmart and Target, major partners of the Trump administration and major contributors to his election campaign, have now had to warn about the risks to the U.S. economy. They not only share the difficulties faced by large businesses but also worry that small and medium-sized businesses will face commercial death if tariffs are not adjusted. The U.S. economy is facing an unprecedentedly difficult situation. There is no denying that the U.S. is heavily dependent on imports from China, and without a change in trade policy, the economy will not be able to continue to function smoothly. The first signs of this decline have already begun to appear. According to Zero Hedge, the Port of Los Angeles, the largest port in the Western Hemisphere, has seen a sharp decline in imports in recent weeks. This has affected not only large corporations but also small businesses and local stores where consumers will feel the shortage of goods the most. The decline is a clear indicator of the difficulties facing the U.S. and global economies. As the supply of goods from major ports dwindles, retailers large and small struggle to stay in business. The shortages raise prices and reduce the ability to meet consumer demand, forcing businesses to lose money or adjust their strategies to maintain market share. And not only that, experts in the logistics industry are also warning of disruptions in the supply chain. Shipments from China are being canceled more and more, making the shortages worse. This not only reduces the amount of goods reaching the warehouses of large retailers, but also makes it difficult for small stores to distribute goods. As a result, not only large companies but also small businesses will face difficulties in maintaining their operations. The slowdown in freight traffic has led to hundreds of thousands of truck trips disappearing across the United States, making it harder than ever to move goods, experts say. This will not only affect large retailers but also put a lot of pressure on small businesses. Many will be forced to adjust their prices to cope with increased costs from shipping and shortages of goods. This could force consumers to accept higher prices or reduce their demand. Especially in difficult economic times, rising prices can reduce purchasing power and make it difficult for small stores to stay in business long term. Another important factor is the strong impact of global political and economic decisions. Tariff policies and economic measures from major countries, especially the U.S. and China, are directly affecting the global supply chain, disrupting the import and export of goods. As China to U.S. shipments plummet in part because shipping lines are trying to cut costs. Or even canceling trips due to concerns about new tariffs, which means prices will not stay stable and consumers will have to pay higher prices for everyday essentials. These concerns are even more evident when we consider the turmoil in financial markets. Port data showing a sharp decline in imports from China into the United States has alarmed analysts and investors. The Trump administration is now looking to address this. But there is no short-term solution to our over-reliance on Chinese goods. Our over-reliance on Chinese imports is unlikely to change anytime soon, which is adding to the pain for retailers and small businesses. Sadly, in recent years, the demand for American goods has fallen sharply. The U.S. economy has faced many challenges in recent years. Rising inflation, high interest rates, and factors affecting the international market have created an unstable business environment. This has significantly affected the consumer behavior of the American people, especially in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, causing many families to tighten their spending. Non-essential items such as clothing, household goods, home decor, and home improvement products are seeing a sharp decline in demand, leaving retailers facing a drop in sales and profits. In particular, compared to previous years, American consumers are now more cautious about spending, prioritizing essential needs, such as food, medicine, and basic consumer products over non-essential products. Recent financial reports from major retailers paint a bleak picture of this consumer trend. Major U.S. retailers such as Walmart, Target, and Home Depot have all struggled to maintain sales and profits amid falling consumer demand. Target: crisis of confidence and pressure from consumers. In fiscal 2025, Target, one of the leading retailers in the U.S., had a difficult year with revenue of $106.57 billion, down 0.79% year-over-year. This is the second consecutive year of revenue decline for the company, following a 1.57% decline in fiscal 2024. Same-store sales in the first quarter fell 3.7%, marking the fourth consecutive quarter of decline. These numbers reflect the difficult reality that Target faces in an increasingly difficult and volatile consumer market. In particular, two major factors are weighing on the company: a crisis of consumer confidence and pressure from diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) policies. More seriously, in early 2025, Target faced a 40-day boycott after the company decided to roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) policies. This decision sparked a strong backlash from a segment of its customers, especially those who follow social and political issues. In response, Target faced protests, boycotts, and strong criticism from the public. The boycott not only caused a drop in revenue, but also a drop in Target's market value, which dropped by $12.4 billion in a short period of time. Consumers and shareholders began to question the company's direction, especially when they believed that Target had not been transparent about its previous DEI policies. Additionally, Target was sued by shareholders who alleged that the company had misrepresented the risks associated with these policies. Home Depot: housing market freezes and consumers tighten spending. Home Depot, the largest home improvement retailer in the United States, is facing several significant challenges amid a sluggish real estate market. While the company has seen some stability in some product segments, current economic factors are slowing growth and weighing on Home Depot's revenue. High mortgage rates have had a devastating effect on the housing market. As borrowing costs rise, many consumers are unable to afford their home loans, leading them to delay or cancel plans to buy a new home or renovate their homes. This has had a direct impact on Home Depot, which primarily caters to home improvement and renovation needs. Lowe's, Home Depot's direct competitor in the home improvement retail industry, has proven to be a fierce competitor over the years. Although Home Depot has a larger advantage in the space, Lowe's is growing strongly and attracting a significant customer base. Another factor affecting Home Depot's revenue is the growing trend of online shopping. Many customers are turning to buying home improvement products online instead of going to physical stores, especially when they can get home delivery and don't have to worry about moving large items. Walmart: pressure from inflation, falling consumer spending, and environmental risks. Walmart, the largest retailer in the United States, faces several challenging factors in 2025. While the company reported positive U.S. sales results in the fourth quarter of 2025, with 4.6% growth beating analysts' expectations, the longer-term outlook is not as bright. Consumers are facing rising prices and stagnant incomes, making them more cautious about spending. This could particularly affect discretionary items such as clothing, home goods, and entertainment. In addition, Walmart faces serious environmental issues. In 2023, the company's transportation emissions increased by 10%, reaching approximately 15.06 million tons of CO2. This increases pollution levels and puts pressure on Walmart to comply with increasingly stringent environmental regulations. Emissions from transportation and industrial activities are contributing to climate change. This not only affects the company's image, but can also lead to higher legal and financial costs. In addition to increasing CO2 emissions, Walmart also faced a 5.3% increase in refrigerant leaks, which contribute to global warming. Additionally, the company has been criticized for its association with suppliers involved in illegal deforestation in the Amazon region. This has not only damaged Walmart's image and reputation, but has also led to increased accusations from environmental groups affecting consumer trust. You can imagine a bleak picture for the retail industry in the United States. Retail corporations are facing unprecedented challenges. American consumers are increasingly cautious about spending, prioritizing essential items and limiting non-essential purchases. Persistent inflation, high interest rates, and trade tensions create an uncertain business environment. Companies face internal issues such as DEI policy debates, environmental risks, and lawsuits. The recent decline in consumer demand in the U.S. is creating serious consequences not only for large retail chains such as Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, but also spreading to the entire economy and society. Consequences of declining consumer demand in retail chains. When sales decline, retailers are forced to restructure to save costs, which can lead to layoffs or the closing of underperforming stores. Businesses will also freeze hiring and reduce working hours to control operating costs. This increases unemployment and puts pressure on the labor market. To cope with falling sales, companies may cut benefits or adjust wages, reducing workers' incomes. As unemployment rises, many families will face financial hardship, which can easily lead to social tensions. As consumers prioritize saving cash over spending, the economy will see a decline in consumption. This will create a domino effect on the manufacturing and retail sectors. As purchasing power decreases, many businesses will fail to meet their revenue targets, leading to insolvency or bankruptcy. Changes in consumer behavior can also lead to a change in the growth model of businesses. Companies that cannot adapt to market changes will face the risk of failure or restructuring. However, in the context of trade tensions between the world's two largest economies, the U.S. and China, an important opportunity is emerging for retail corporations. The good news opens up a brighter opportunity. The two powers, the U.S. and China, have agreed to sit down together within the next 90 days to renegotiate tariff policies to minimize negative impacts on the global economy. At the same time, support businesses, including retailers. Hot U.S. and China agree to sharply reduce tariffs. The U.S. and China have just reached an agreement to reduce tariffs on each other within the next 90 days. This information was officially announced in Geneva, where senior officials from the two countries have been holding secret negotiations. Specifically, Washington decided to cut tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%, including a 20% tariff related to the fentanyl issue. Note that the decision to reduce tariffs does not apply to individual sectoral tariffs and tariffs imposed on China during Mr. Trump's first term. In response, Beijing also reduced tariffs on U.S. goods from 125% to 10%. We have reached an agreement to pause tariffs for 90 days and significantly reduce tariffs, said U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent at a press conference on May 12th. He stressed that the discussions were based on mutual respect. However, Washington remains steadfast in its goal of continuing to move toward balanced trade with China, Bessent said. Following Mr. Bessent's remarks, U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer said that discussions between Chinese and U.S. officials were based on mutual understanding and mutual respect. He said that the U.S. wants more balanced trade with China, and our Chinese partners came to make a deal this week. What prospects and benefits will tariff reduction bring to retail corporations? The reduction of tariffs between the U.S. and China will directly reduce the cost of importing goods from China. U.S. retailers such as Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, which rely on goods from China, will benefit from this reduction in costs. The reduction in tariffs will help retailers reduce their import costs, which can help them maintain or even reduce product prices. A reasonable pricing strategy will be the key to increasing consumer purchasing power and boosting revenue. As product costs fall, companies' profits will increase, especially since they do not need to raise prices to compensate for higher costs. This will help companies maintain stable profit margins even in a market that is still facing difficult economic factors such as inflation and high labor costs. One of the major issues retailers have faced over the years has been supply chain disruptions due to trade wars and high tariffs. Reducing tariffs would help stabilize supply chains between the U.S. and China, which would help reduce shortages. Retailers would be able to maintain a steady supply and reduce inventory or shortages. When product prices fall, consumers will be able to spend more. In particular, in the context of companies being able to apply discount strategies for non-essential items, shopping demand will be strongly promoted. Items such as household appliances, clothing, electronics, and other consumer products will be able to achieve significant growth in revenue. While tariff reductions will bring many opportunities, retailers still face some challenges. Retailers need to develop a suitable pricing strategy that not only reduces prices in the short term, but also ensures long-term profits. Discounts need to be considered so as not to affect brand value. In addition to reducing product prices, retailers also need to optimize operating costs, warehouse management, and reduce unnecessary costs. This will help them maintain profits while still creating attractive prices for customers. With online shopping becoming more popular, retailers need to strengthen their online sales channels. Technology development will help optimize customer experience and increase operational efficiency. Retail companies can use AI technology to predict customer shopping trends and optimize inventory management, thereby minimizing stockouts or shortages. Online sales combined with traditional in-store sales will create a flexible business strategy. Retailers need to boost online sales campaigns, improve user interfaces, and enhance delivery services. In particular, according to economic experts, retailers need to diversify their supply chains and reduce their dependence on China. Even with tariffs reduced, over-reliance on China remains a major risk. Retailers need to diversify their supply chains to mitigate the risk of unexpected political and economic changes. Retailers can look to source from other countries such as Vietnam, India, or other Southeast Asian countries. This will not only reduce risk but also increase competitiveness in the global supply chain. To reduce dependence on high-tax countries, retail companies can start looking at opportunities to invest in manufacturing domestically or in countries with low costs and favorable tax policies. The U.S. and China's agreement to reduce tariffs significantly over 90 days will be a huge opportunity for retailers, especially in reducing import costs, maintaining profits, and boosting consumption. What does the future hold for retail giants? Let's wait and see what the tariffs between the U.S. and China will be like. The information we share in the video is for reference only and is analyzed from many perspectives. Please combine other sources of information for a more complete and objective view.